Welcome, friends, welcome to our homes. Sit by the fire and warm up your bones. Is it wet outside? Is it cold and dark? Of course it is. You're in winter, Mark! Home of the winter folk, scions of the storm. We're hardy and we're practical, we're savage and we're tactical, and loyal to a fault when your back is up against the wall. For the Empire, none more loyal and damn proud of it. We gave it our laws, we gave it the Senate, we gave it bloody scar-sins, but let's not dwell on it. 3 people, 1 nation. Sounds confusing, let me give an explanation. 3 into 1 made stronger as a whole. From alliance was formed our nation's soul. Now it's said we're bloodthirsty and that we're too aggressive, and it's true, but we're trying to be a little more progressive. Look at Sigvald there, the most civil man that I know. It's been 3 days since he fucked a war rhino. You don't get us, I can see it in your eyes, but we're 7 kinds of special, so it comes as no surprise. Let me break it down, take it one by one, and tell you of our people through the medium of song. Cause when the war drums sound and the empire calls and the banners rise and the axe blow falls and a nation sings its battle song, 10,000 voices rise as one, and we sing for the Steiner, sing for the Suak, sing for the Calabasian, sing for the Mark, sing for the Steiner, sing for the Suak, sing for the Calabasian, sing for the Mark. Down from the tundra, out of the snow, where even the winter markers fear to go, from Ika's tears to the howling gale of Sidanya. Ice walkers, beast stalkers, masters of the riddle and the fireside tale, with eyes so sharp and minds so cunning, they'll kill you with the arrow that you...
Oh, that was a good start. No camera worked. Hello everybody, welcome. I'm back. Been a week and a bit. I know, not long. Hopefully you can all hear me fine. Everything should be good. I hope you are all doing okay in the world of chat. This is promising to be is going to be a very good stream, a very interesting one. I think this is one that I've been excited about doing for a while, to be honest. All good, wonderful stuff. So, brief updates. I've had surgery. I'm out of surgery. I'm recovering from surgery. I am doing fine. I'm actually sleeping now. It's only taken a week. So, this is good. Long may this continue and all of that. I am at Reapers next weekend. The Reapers Ball, which will be a lot of fun. So, hopefully I'll see a lot of you there. Yeah, that's all I can think of at the moment. I can't remember what I'm doing. Someone will remind me at some point, I am sure. So yeah, that's about it really. Oh, and on Monday, a new players stream where we're going to go through a lot of stuff to give a lot of the new players a little bit of guidance. If you have questions, feel free to ask at any time. If there's a lot, we will just work our way. We will plod our way through. As in all of these streams, there are things we cannot talk about, as always. So if we can't talk about it, please don't push on it. All right. If you want our answers on it, PD's email is there for a reason. Okay, so just go with that. Let's not badger people, especially me. I don't need it. So, back to it. That was the quickest intro I've ever done. So we have wonderful Tom directly to my left on stream, whatever, he's there, over there. So I think this is Tom's first time on stream as well. And
indeed, yeah.
And we have Kira above Tom. This is her second time on stream. She's better at it than me. So welcome back, Kira and Tom. So if you want to do your brief introductions again, I like this new on track, Steve. Shut up, Owen. Thanks for subbing, Dan. So if we start with Tom, because it was your first time on stream. So if you want to give us a little bit of a brief introduction, love you, Bolan.
Yeah, so I'm Tom. I am the head of PD's battle team. I guess it's not particularly a very big team, and we can explain a little bit about what I do during the course of this stream. Very much, my role is to participate in essentially the writing and then the delivery of effectively the big 2 battles that we have every event at Empire. And that is now pretty much everything that I do at Empire. So, yeah, Kira, over to you.
I'm Kira. I am one of 3 leads for the skirmish team. So we wrangle all of the orcs on and off the battlefield.
Excellent. Right, just turning Tom up a smidge. So that's all good. You said something there that I didn't realise as well that you do. Because I always thought that something that you have mentioned went to the higher ups, the powers that be, to the deities within PD, and that was writing the battles. So I didn't realise that fell to you. So
yeah, it does.
Obviously, this is something we're not really going to touch on because it's very much a find out in play part of the game. But I suppose if you can if you give us a brief overview, and then we'll leave it alone.
Yeah, so I guess lots of players will be aware of the Winds of War, kind of the campaign sort of climax that happens every 3 months within the game world, where all the armies end up fighting, sort of the outcomes of the massive campaign interactions. Out of that come several ideas that, along with the game team, I will work with them to kind of go, actually, there's some really interesting concepts for battles. So we may have that kind of massive kind of geographical conflict during the campaign where, we have 7 or 8 Imperial armies will face off against the equivalent barbarian counterparts. Obviously, when we come to the game time, it's not on that scale. We're a much smaller environment, despite the scale of Empire's game. There's hundreds and hundreds of people that we're dealing with at that point. It's not a kind of cinematic battle of thousands. But basically, I take those initial discussions, and it's working with people like Kira, with the ref team, with a couple of our other plot writers at times, just coming up with effectively the concepts of those 4, maybe sometimes 5 battle opportunities that get presented to the military council. And very much my part of writing that as a plot, and there's a lots of work that we go through with the game team as we develop those ideas. They're not just let's scribble them down on a bit of paper, bang, that goes out. There's a lot of thought that goes into what you're doing as a player, where the monsters might be starting, what they're trying to achieve. And ultimately, I'm the person who's also running that battle out, obviously with the military council. And then when it comes to the live element of the game, it's something that I know inside and out. If there are problems that come up during a battle, probably the best placed person to fix a lot of those as we go.
Excellent. That's really interesting. So I've been playing since the very beginning, and I had no clue. No clue. I always thought that it was just like it was Matt and people, just a little group, just sat there going, right, how should we be dicks this event? And stuff like that.
So yeah, I mean, there is a lot of contributions that go into effectively that finished product. Very much a lot of the initial ideas come together from a group. We're pitching in what are we wanting to see? Are we thinking about kind of some of those, maybe historical film battles? There's really cool elements that we might want to see. What are we thinking about? What do we want players or monsters to be doing, and how does that interact with the rules? But very much, I guess, what you see coming out in the Winds of War, those battle opportunities, for the most part, most of the words there are, yes, words that I put together in a particular style, addressing things like the objectives and outcomes of the battle.
That's fantastic. So, Bolam, who is one of the former League generals, he's just said we've had some smashing battle opportunities last year. It was proper fun debating which ones to take. So, there you go. Something nice and positive for you. One lazy guy. Yeah. So we have a guest who plays in the Australian.
Yep.
It's Australian Empire, I should guess, really. And he's hell yeah, Empire's Biff Squad. I rarely hear about this side of large scale LARPs, so yeah, that's really, really cool. So, are there specific kinds of battles that are fun to write that don't necessarily transfer over well, and vice versa? E.g., boring to write but always go down well. Kira?
Um, I think there are some concepts that we come up with that sound really fun, but practically won't work. And equally, there are always go-tos that we know are tried and true and will work in the space that we have. Again, a lot of my contribution to the battle now are the personnel. So Tom comes up with the thematics, the concepts, the objectives, and then runs them past us to say, is this something the personnel will be able to manage? Is there any tweaks? But for battles specifically, that is quite a loss of Tom. So I think Tom should have a go at answering this as well.
Yeah, so there are definitely, and as Kira said, there are things that we know we can't run. We're never going to run, Helm's Deep as a battle empire. We don't have that massive fortification. We don't have we don't have obviously skirmish team. We don't have player monsters to enable us to pull off that kind of unending wave of monsters that you might see in some sort of science fiction or fantasy movies. It's not 100 players versus 10,000 monsters. There are obviously, big constraints we have is the field and the woods that we have where we're currently located. There are certain things we just can't do within that space. We don't have lots and lots of nicely rolling hillsides that people can sort of skirmish over and help flank so much. So there are certainly elements like that. But yeah, generally, I think a lot of what we do that keeps battles interesting and different comes also from the interactions with the rules that we have in Empire. Obviously, the things like rituals, priest skills, and then again, battles that I do against different forces, different enemies. So there are probably some very simple, basic concepts that we might say you could think of maybe a capture the flag style mission that can work in many different, you could do that in an online kind of computer game. You can do that at kind of playground games. You get even board games with those elements, wargaming as well. We can translate that into a battle, but that battle is going to play really differently if you're fighting against the Jotun. Maybe the Druge are the people who are trying to capture the flag in this case, or actually what happens if we've got a horde of undead? How does all of that change up? Actually, some of the elements of that battle are really similar, but how it plays out. And again, the other big thing is the nations of the empire that take the field. That can really change how, what on paper could be a really similar battle to the one that we've run maybe the day before or a couple of events ago. But because the League are fighting and Wintermark aren't, actually, that really changes up how that battle will play out.
Well, at least if Dawn are fighting, they're going to lose at least 3/4 of their number at the moment, because that seems to be the common theme. To anyone who plays in Dawn and is watching, I'm not sorry. Hey, please, I'm in Wintermark. We had the donut that we've had to put up with for so long. So I think it's about time we've passed that burden on to another nation. So, but I mean, I think that's quite an interesting one, because how does it make you feel then at the end of an event when you've got home, you've sat down, you're decompressing, and then you suddenly realise, oh shit, we had this nation go in and they lost 80 people in one battle, or they've gone in for a skirmish and they've lost everyone bar 2, or something like that. How do you sit there and go, sucks to be them, that worked a treat, or do you go, oh well, oh dear? Do you feel?
I think Kira should answer this one first.
I think you both should answer it.
Kira,
go Kira.
I think we do a lot of debriefing. So we will think over everything that's happened. We will look at the things that went right, at the things that went wrong, and we will look how we can improve.
Yeah.
So one of the things we're always striving for is the experience of the players. But sometimes things are going to be really difficult, and sometimes they're going to be really easy. And as Tom said about the battles, we don't know who's going to go on a skirmish until they turn up at the gate, so we can't plan for that. So yeah, the plot writers and Tom try and write skirmishes and battles that they think are going to work, and then we analyze them afterwards. But personally, I don't necessarily feel guilty about it. I mean, the skirmish team turn up to do a job, and for as many times as players walk away having lost the majority, they've also got to think about the amount of times they turn up and wipe the field in a few minutes. So it goes both ways.
That's a very good. That's a very good answer. A very good
does.
answer.
And I mean, I think I have been doing what I've been doing at Empire now for such a long time, and I would like to say I'm sort of numb in some ways to the emotion around it. I have played Empire Battles. It was a very long time ago, and I have lost a couple of characters. It's not great. I think there is lots that you can go into about sort of that, playing a character, losing a character. But also, I think from my side, what I am delivering, the battles, a lot of the combat at Empire, there is that risk, there is that peril. That's part of the game. That's why people, it's why we're running them, and it's why I'd like to think people are going on them. There is that risk. It's a dangerous thing. If we were going on, there was no risk, no chance of losing characters. It's like, well, okay, we could do that. It's not this game. But yeah, sometimes you think, yeah, actually, players came out of that really bad, lots of bloody noses. You think actually maybe there are characters there that I know as friends, people might have fallen. You think actually there's a character there that I'm aware of as maybe been in the game for a long time or is well known, and you think it's a bit of a loss to the game. But the flip side for me as well is a lot of that, that drives the game. It's those big moments. It's actually a hero of Wintermark has fallen, or actually a group in the Brass Coast that were a big part of one area of the game have suddenly sort of had catastrophic losses. That's kind of a really interesting real life kind of big news story within the world of Empire, and it's that thing that keeps the game exciting and interesting and moving forward.
No, that's really, really cool. Just going to say to chat, I have paused it because I'm on a question that I'm going to read out next, so I will then scroll down and catch up. So if you're commenting on stuff now, I can't see it yet, but I will. No, that's really good, because I think a lot can be put on people like worrying too much about hurting people's feelings and stuff like that, when at the end of the day this is a game and we're all heroes, and a lot of heroes die. So I think it's a big thing like that. I mean, I've lost a very, very long-term character, and that absolutely broke me in half. But doing like a Whispers thing that's like that, so completely separate, is a massive thing, and you get that to carry on with it. So the story of dying in battle is a very interesting one, because I always say to everybody, when you come to LARP, you're doing that, you get the experience, but the thing that you walk away with is all the stories that you have done. So I'm a massive advocate for. So like I've had a few people say to me, "Oh, I didn't do anything at that last Empire event," and we sit down, we talk about it for an hour, then 2, then 3, then 4 hours have gone by, and they've told me everything that they've got up to, and there's so many stories in there as well. And even if you've done the battle of, where I've been in a lot of battles where we've got into the field and 10 minutes later we're leaving again. They happen. They absolutely happen. I was involved in a 3-way skirmish that we did, where Dawn went onto the field first, they got called forward into an honour thing, and they got absolutely decimated. Then Wintermark came running on, and we got 20 feet out of the gate, and then we got absolutely decimated. And then Navarre came running in, and they didn't even get out of the gate. They were literally into the back of us, 3 feet from the gate, and we all got pushed back through the gate. Massive failure. Best skirmish I've ever been on. Literally, hands down, the best skirmish I have ever had. So close to death constantly. It was great. I loved every second of it. So whoever wrote that one, that was brilliant.
I think that's the interesting positive. I think out of your question for me is, yes, we're running encounters, we're running plots that could well result in characters,
Yeah.
dying, being captured, cursed, whatever. Really horrible things for those characters. But for me, there's a big positive in those players get to experience that sort of thing. You mentioned Whispers Through the Black Gate there. If we weren't occasionally killing off characters on skirmishes, there'd be nothing for those ritualists cast. There's loads of extra role play that comes out of that. And, your character dies, make the most of it. You can return to Anvil Terminal. You can have people crying over your dying last breath. You can sort of get lots of role play while still in Anvil before you finally do your over-the-top dramatic death scene, kind of, light it, kind of just as you're about to tell some of your deepest, darkest secrets.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you ever whispered? Either of you ever witnessed the whispers through the gate at all?
I've seen a few from the distance, yeah.
So I know this is a bit of a tangent, but I'm gonna tell you one that I witnessed. It was literally just before mine, and it was the most heartbreaking thing in the world, and not for the reasons you think, either. He got brought back to give some information, and he ended up telling this lady that he was madly in love with her, and she went, "Okay," and then walked off and left him on his in the middle of the. And I was stood inside the tent with all the crew in there. It was like 7 of us, and we were just like, "Oh, that was painful to watch." But I love that story. So yeah. So I mean, death happens in that. So that you must get the sense of, so if a battle is literally gone on and on and on and on, and you're getting to like the 3-4 hour where it's been going on for hours now, and you're there going, right, okay, they're going to get called, the gate's going to close soon, they're going to get called off the field, and they've still not done anything yet. So is that a sense of the concept you've come up with has been a success, do you think? Or in my opinion, are the players just a bit inept? Or is it a mixture of both?
It's a hard one to answer. I mean, I think this stands for skirmishes as well as battles. We are not writing those encounters to be impossible.
No.
We're never going to say, go and actually bring us back a literal moon on a stick on this skirmish. But also, we are never going to give a skirmish or a battle opportunity which is just utterly so easy that you walk on the field, press a button that's 5 yards inside the Sentinel Gate, and you're done. A lot of it is making sure, there's that element of kind of that good game design that we're aiming for, is, hitting that sweet spot of it gets good combat. Stuff is happening before we get to maybe that narrative conclusion, but also it's trying to build in there, those opportunities that players could seize on to actually, suddenly a couple of Navarre managed to sneak around a flank of the battlefield. They're in the woods. No monster has seen them, and they can break through to where an objective is. And actually, suddenly, players can really turn a battle. And then, likewise, the other side, skirmish team, Kira leading the Orc forces. Maybe there's that moment on the battlefield where Kira thinks, I could break through that line straight through. We've divided the player forces. And then, maybe all hell breaks loose and you get a rout. It's those elements that are kind of not designed in, but are there and can happen.
Okay, that's interesting. So I'll ask the question now then that I've paused chat on. Is there anything you would like to put in a battle, but don't have the time, budget, space to do it? Take as long as you want on this one. If we go to Kira first in this one. We'll give a top 3.
Can't really say specifics because I haven't really got any, but
okay.
I think one of the things the skirmish crew are really wanting to do is have more space so we can play the Druge better in a battle. So, as Tom's already touched on a couple of times, currently we only have the space and the woods and the field that we have, and with the increase in numbers over the last few years, it has become difficult to maneuver smaller skirmish forces around on that field.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the players feel the same, particularly the nations that skirmish more. It is difficult to be maneuverable on that field. And I think one of the things we would really like to do is be able to have that option.
Mm. Okay. Do you? I mean, I suppose considering my history in that, do you think it would be good to do? I mean, do skirmish crew get like do weekends together and stuff like that? Where you could potentially do like a bit of training and drill and things. Do you think that would be something that would potentially help?
I think one of the things, so we do occasionally, and a lot of our skirmish crew, whilst we don't all meet up regularly, there are large chunks of it that do.
Okay.
So a lot of us come from the Midlands, so we do meet up. There are meetups in there. Some people in the South will meet up. But when we are on a skirmish, we are portraying ourselves as the skirmish team. So you will be against the 80 to 100 of the skirmish team that are working together.
Hmm.
When we are on a battle situation, you then add in 400 players, and it's the combination of us leading those players that sometimes breaks down a little bit.
Yeah.
And there is no way really to train that many people together.
No. Okay. So it's just whoever's the loudest in those situations normally. Okay. Yeah. All right, Tom.
Yeah, so stuff I'd love to do. I think there's a list as long as my arm, and if not longer. There's loads of, I think, historical battles or battles, you see in film that I think, it'd be great if we could do that. Some of those we just can't achieve due to how LARP works. Some of it really, as Kira mentioned, is just the limitations of the site. I would love to get as a really great kind of pitched battle where we could near enough get an entirety of both sides lined up in a massive big space of an open field. And we can really go at kind of looking at flanking, attacks, sort of pulling back, ordered retreats and things. So we have less of a trying to sort of break lines and sort of smash up a field really quickly. Something that might end up being a sort of slightly more slower, drawn out affair. But also some, I think, other interesting things. We keep occasionally putting more monsters onto battlefields, or we're looking at kind of fortifications, stockades, sort of things. There's still lots of things, I think, as ideas that we can want to try, and we'll try again. I mean, I think I've seen in the chat somebody's mentioning the Grendel. That's going to really change up the battle opportunities that we potentially have coming forward in the year ahead of us, because we've got a different barbarian force to work with. So yeah, plenty of things, and I think those ideas will keep us in good battles for a very long time.
Good. That's good to hear. I do love a good scrap, but keep all the good ones until like E2, because that's when I can start fighting again. So wait until E2 to get your good ideas out there. For no reason apart from I'm very selfish when it comes to fighting. Do you ever end up wishing we were fighting certain people because of the cool things you've tried to include, like more beasties?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think this is what this touches on, and there's a lot more in the answer I think I can give than that question even alludes to. So every empire we are running or writing 3 to 5 battles. Most of the time we're writing 4 battles. We will only ever run 2 of those out. So if you can imagine, essentially the writing the time and doing half of my work ends up never running. We never use it. One interesting thing there is we still have to be able to run those battles. So I've got 4 battle options. Kira has to be able to run a battle with a giant big monster, but we don't choose that battle. Or we've got to work out how do we have 50 Jotun doing a ritual on this battle. Turns out we don't need to use that battle because it wasn't chosen by the military council. So yeah, there's lots of things that I think, we'd love to do. We don't get the opportunity just because those choices of the battles don't go that way.
Okay, that's cool. That's interesting. And Kira?
I think coming from the skirmish crew side, there are a lot of things that we would love to do. So Tom's already spoken about the big monsters and the beasts. The skirmish crew fall over themselves to play those. They are an absolute favourite. And then I won't go into specifics, but there are other nations out there that some of the skirmish crew would like to have a go at playing as well.
Iron Confederacy.
And they are very, very excited for the Grendel to be back.
Yeah, I think everyone is, to be honest. Yeah, there's a lot out there, and going through all of the nations and stuff. I think the Iron Confederacy is something that I'm itching for, because I know that a lot of skirmish crew they're Norman reenactors, aren't they? So they've got all the kit and they're itching, and I'm looking forward to getting our asses handed to us by this lot when that finally happens. Because
get through the Grendel first.
That's fine. We'll get through the Grendel like we get through everyone else. Badly. Really badly. But I look forward to seeing everything that comes up. Like when people come along and say, "Oh, this big thing's turning up in the field," and all of that, and it's so good to see everything that you do. I'm not just saying that because you're here. Getting me to say a lot of nice things about people it's like getting, well, I don't like doing it to their faces for a start. It's nice to see that so many people love what you do, and I think everyone cares about it so much. Even if like feedback's bad, it's because everyone cares so much that this part of the game affects what so many people feel about an entire event. So there is that huge pressure, but you are probably, well, you are very loved for what you do and the effort you put in. So yes, I mean, so personally, thank you for what you do. It's really is appreciated, because I know you put in a lot of time and a lot of effort into it. Everyone who works behind the scenes does. So yeah, my favour would be give me something big to fight. I love fighting your big beasties. So I look forward to seeing whatever comes next, because it's going to be great. But yeah, so when you speak about other nations, then, so I mean, obviously the Grendel are coming back, and that, would you say that Iron Confederacy is up there as a nation you would really love to see getting involved in a scrap, or the Assaveans, or as a I mean, not as a PD crew,
yeah.
which nation would you love to see getting involved a bit more?
So I think, given that we haven't had the Iron Confederacy appear in anything but a skirmish, I think, yes, there's some really interesting things there, particularly from, I guess, the time that I've been, we've always had orc adversaries pretty much at Empire.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting concepts for us to explore where we have, effectively, you are fighting humans and how that changes up battles. The other thing I am very keen and excited to have happen at some point is also going back to the Thule as well. So they were one of the main adversaries right at the start of the game, and due to player action, we've got peace treaties, then that peace is held for a long time. But where we are now with how we run our monsters, how we encourage things like the monstering, the elite monster units, where we are in terms of the skirmish team as well, the Thule offers something very different in terms of the magic and sort of how that would change up a battle. So I'd be quite keen to see the Thule back in play as well.
Okay, that's interesting. You, Kira, is there any particular nation?
As I say, I think Tom stole the words right out of my mouth. There are a lot of people that would love to see the Iron Confederacy.
Yeah.
I don't think that is a well-kept secret.
No.
There is a large portion of the skirmish crew that has been waiting for that for a while. My personal thoughts are that I would like to see the Thule come back. I would love to have the opportunity to play them. So I joined Empire in 2019. So I've actually never had the opportunity to be Thule. And I think as an Orc Nation, they have a very, very cool concept. And I would love to have a go.
Excellent. I look forward to that. Amazing Mr. G. If you had an unlimited budget, I love these questions. I really do. If you had an unlimited budget, what monster gear / costume or special effect do you wish you could do? I love it.
I'm only laughing because I'm wondering whether that's one of ours.
Probably.
Yeah,
I'm not even halfway through caught up with chat yet, so apologies to chat. But yeah, amazing, Mr. G. Who are you? Let us know.
I think I know who
unlimited, unlimited budget, unlimited time. I think I would see every single player monster who came along go through essentially makeup processes from Weta Studios to get our kind of Lord of the Rings level orcs. We'd have 300 level costume for all of our monsters. I think there's so much we could do. Obviously, we're 3,000 people in the field 4 times a year. We work within the medium that we've got, but yeah, it's a massive sliding scale. We could have lots of cool fortifications. We could have giant monsters. We could have, my goodness, so much more in terms of, I think, sort of kit, costume, armor, weapons that both the skirmish team and potentially players could use. So, where do you start, really?
Yeah, very much so. Kira?
Again, I think I'm on the similar line to Tom. I would love to see, if we had unlimited budget, I would love to see us actually be able to outfit units particularly for things like the Jotun and the Grendel, in military dress for their nation, with everyone being matching and having specific identifiable units for both players coming to Monster and for the skirmish crew. And then there are a whole host of ideas that the skirmish crew throw around if we had certain weapon loadouts that we, again, would be able to put out units specialised for certain things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's
costume
cool.
And weapons. That's all I want.
Costume and weapons. It's not like when we had kit people on, and they were wishing for a washing machine. I'm loving how very different all the different departments are, and their hopes and dreams. It's really cool. See, I would love to see the monsters, the big monsters. I'd love to see like the war rhinos get a massive overhaul, and that, because they're amazing. I remember I actually monstered the first time they came onto the field, and I remember being in the woods on the side, and then because I hadn't actually seen it, it was kept a long way away from everybody. So it was a surprise for everyone, and it came walking down. And then we watched Wintermark form a line and take it head on, and then them get rolled. It was hilarious. But that was an amazing feeling, that everybody was just gobsmacked seeing that War Rhino come on. So having a load of those being fully kitted out, like the Frost Giants, the Valorn especially. I mean, when I started, I was all Navarre and for years and years and years. So seeing the Valorn for the first time was epic. So seeing all of that get a major facelift would be absolutely phenomenal. I would love that. But yeah, that's pipe dream, isn't it? Carius, can you think of a specific battle that went wrong from your perspective, and why? Anticas Carius. That's an interesting one. Either or, anyone, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, Kira, you got.
It depends on your definition of wrong, because there have been, like I said, I've actually only been part of Empire since 2019, and with the 2 years out, that's not a massive amount of time. I've seen battles where we've come off the field as the skirmish crew, looked at the time and gone, oh. But there are also times where, and that can be for either side, so we've either been completely rolled over and the players have got their objective in 20 minutes, in and out, done. And there are other times where either the players haven't been quite fast enough, or they didn't get themselves organised enough, or we were just ever so slightly off on how we planned our objectives, and the skirmish crew and the player monsters have walked on the field on and off in 20 minutes. And to me, there are times when we would like to be able to do longer battles. I don't actually like it when either side wins in 20 minutes. Like, a good hour is where I like us to be at.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't think of anything that's gone, touch wood,
Yeah,
majorly wrong.
there are battles I think that have not gone as we expected. I guess the 20-minute battles that Kira's alluded to, that they have just happened, and that's not necessarily through anyone's direct fault. We're dealing with well over 1,000 people moving around. They are not just computer characters in a game.
No.
They are real people interacting in a massive environment, and things. Essentially, you get lots of emergent behavior that happens, and then there's nothing that Kira could do to control that as a battle. Refs, think players can move, monsters can move in ways that just mean something doesn't happen. And then the other side is players will constantly surprise us as well. That's part of the game as well. A bunch of players suddenly whip out a ritual mid-battle, and suddenly, oh my goodness, the battle's completely changed for the monsters.
Yes. Yeah. The big spells and stuff like that are often very interesting. Don't really see it too often, like a mass like weakness or something like that coming from the orcs at all. It doesn't happen too often. I'd like to see more of it, I think. I'd love to see more of our stuff being thrown back in our face, I think.
Okay.
I think, because at the end of the day, if you're when people are fighting each other in war, it's very much we'll learn your tactics, you'll learn ours, and you build up to a point where you're like at the pinnacle of it all, where you know what they're going to do, they know what you're going to do, so you counter each other, and that will go with you'll know who the generals are, you'll know the magic they've got, the capabilities they've got. Chances are they'll bring this in. So if at a point one of the barbarian nations turns round and they walk into a battle, and then you've got the entire front line of, it's like, this is all Urizen and Highguard over here, and then all of a sudden they're hit by two mass weaknesses. Those lines won't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They'll get rolled very, very quickly. And I think it would be really interesting to see something like that getting used, especially by the barbarians, a lot more. They have magic. We know they have magic. Let's get more of the horrific death magic stuff that they've probably got up their sleeve somewhere, thrown in our faces, please. That's my personal preference. I want to fight against the monster and then have them go paralysed, and we go, well, fuck.
You play in Wintermark, don't you?
Yes, I do.
So I guess you've probably not played against the Druge for a little while.
Not for a long, long time.
Yeah. So we've been doing a lot more of weaknesses and the venoms with the Druge, and not just through ritual stuff. So, and I guess that's the difference in the game as well, with how sort of the nations in the game and the campaigns that they're fighting, the monsters that you tend to interact with. There will be some nations who will will fairly frequently change those up. But Wintermark, for instance, we're coming out of 2-3 years of campaign against the Jotun with Wintermark, and that.
Oh yeah, I'm well. I mean, I think that as a player, I think I look at the Jotun now, and when we see the battle list, we're going, please not the Jotun. Everyone in Wintermark goes, please not the Jotun. We got to our generals, please not the Jotun, and they'll go, we'll do what we can. We're fighting the Jotun. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake, please. Right, so we need mercenary banner. I'm going to go off and join the league, and so these things like that, because it gets a little bit samey. Not going to lie. I mean, that's nothing on you. It's on our leadership being a bit rubbish. I can't fault them. I haven't got anything bad to say about people. It's more of a case of I just don't want to fight the Jotun anymore. I'm really bored of them.
Get your diplomats to reach out.
No, I'm just going to murder all our generals, and then we'll have new people in to take over and do it.
Okay.
So I think that's the easiest way, easiest way around. So if my generals are watching, you're just gonna die. But yeah, so that's really cool to know. Then that's really really good, and I really feel like I'm missing out now on a lot of stuff. Is there a theme kind of fight you'd like to run someday? So it's more the thematics side of it, or the
Yeah.
so
yeah, I think
without
that comes
touching
back
on
to
any
some of the
plot, I
earlier-
guess, on this.
I think it comes back to a lot of the earlier stuff. There are plenty of things. Yeah, I'd love to run. We've never really properly done a big Yota Forlorn battle properly,
No,
so that would be it for me.
I was broken-hearted. I was one of the first Navarre generals, and I'm absolutely broken-hearted by that. Still am. I think the Valorn have a very soft spot in a lot of people's hearts when it comes to fighting and skirmishes and stuff, because they're terrifying, which is really really good. So I remember the first time we fought against the Valorn, and we had one of the big trees come out. It was actually the member of skirmish crew. Monster was literally in this costume and leaning against a tree, so we didn't know they were there. And I remember the person who was stood 2 feet from them, as it then moved away, they literally shit themselves and bolted. It was great. It was so good. Dread Pirate Dan has asked, "What's the Wintermark donut?" Oh my god! It threatens to happen every single Wintermark battle. I'll put it that way. It gets close to happening. How much are you looking forward to? Thank you for gifting a sub, Dan. Thank you. How much are you looking forward to Grendel battles coming back, and have you been preparing for some time?
Are you waiting for me to go?
It's either.
Yes.
The Grendel are one of some of the skirmish team's favourites. They are a different flavour to the Druids and the Jotun that we've been playing for quite a while now. They have the big beasties. And if anyone was anywhere near Dawn for the last event, I think they might have seen how keen some of the skirmish crew are to be Grendel. There was a tournament that went down in Dawn, and we had to almost turn some of the skirmish crew away, because otherwise you'd have had all 100 of us down there.
Oh, I would have paid to see that. That would have been really good. Yeah, you got your own little skirmish crew there, but you bring fans as well. That would have been epic to watch. Give skirmish crew an hour's playtime in Dawn. Ran the glory thing. I'm not allowed to call it anymore. Helen's asked, do you have to do much to impact the pacing of the battles, or do you just let it play out once it starts?
I guess that's a question for me. Very quickly, there's a little bit of pacing that goes in there. A lot of that is really controlled just by the pace at which we will put more orcs back onto the field through respawning. But ultimately, those battles are live. Monsters, the skirmish team, the kind of orc commanders, the EMUs are really left to their own devices. There's lots of in-character communication, which is really the pace that we set in the battle. And then reinforcements may arrive.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. I mean, it's very obvious when you're monstering that you're being held. And I think the longer you're sat there for, you know that the battle's probably not going very well if you're being held there for a long time.
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing. I think we're very keen to make sure we can get orcs back into the fight. We don't want people sitting around on those respawn points for too long. But also, there is that element of what we also don't want to do is suddenly throw 100 more orcs into a situation where actually, we're going to really stretch the players to the point that, we're just throwing more fuel onto the fire and it's going to go south for the players. So there is a little bit of balancing there.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine. I think this is why I would never be allowed to do your job. So, Steve, you killed everybody again. I know, right? So, because I really want to touch on the rules as well, so I'll do one more question from chat where I'm only like, yeah, the questions are just really rolling in. But I want to talk about the rules. I want to and do things like that because I know there's a lot of new players in chat too. So, with the seemingly unbridled power of the sun burning down on us more often during battles, does it play any part now in how battles are planned to run?
So yeah, this is a really great point, I think, to very quickly lead on of when and how battles run. So we start battles at 11 a.m. That's when everybody goes in character. The players go through the Sentinel Gate and the monsters time in. 11 o'clock is intended to make sure the battle is pretty much done by the height of the day. The heat of the day isn't really, that severe by 1 p.m. And so that's why we're starting when we are. And skirmishes is, again, different thing. We are running skirmishes from 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday right through into the early evening. So yeah, we do plan around that. A lot of that, if you really go on a lot of skirmishes or you keep your kind of brain in gear, when you're thinking about the skirmishes that are going out, we actually move a lot of the skirmishes in the afternoon into the woodland. So we've got the shade. Obviously, it's been very hot past couple of events, so it's not a foolproof plan there.
Yeah. Okay. So, Kira, when it comes to looking after skirmish crew, then when you're out there in this sort of heat as well, I know you have a lot of water carriers and stuff, but you've got a few hundred people with you who are, well, they're in a lot of kit, they're in the masks for a long period of time, and they're often doing a lot more running than the players would be doing as well. How do you factor all of that in to help so your people aren't, well, collapsing, essentially, I guess?
I think one of the big ones for us is what Tom's just touched on, is sticking to the shade, similar to the player Imperial Orcs. If it's really, really hot, we'll do a lot of our waiting around in the shade. We will be in the sun for the least possible amount of time as we have to get the job done.
Yeah.
Lots of water in between, and also pacing ourselves. So we may have 80 to 100 people, but they might not all be out at the same time. So we can roll through a different people. If one person has to sit out for a skirmish, someone else will probably step back in. But a lot of it is just about people looking after themselves and looking after each other.
Yeah.
If they've spotted one of their mates looking like they're flagging a little bit, just giving them a bit of a poke and saying, hey, do you want to sit down for this one?
Yeah, I think the positives from it all as well is that we're all LARPers at the end of it as well. We're all human, and there have been numerous occasions when it has been so hot. So we've had the orcs that we've killed, and we're stepping over. You've got people behind them, and they look like they're really hot. So like the masks come up a little bit to try to get a bit of air into the skin. And we're giving, and like the Imperials are giving them water and things like that as well, just to keep everybody going. And it's happened on the other side as well. So I've seen it. You see it a lot, where everybody's keeping each other going in the heat and in those sorts of situations. So it's just a wonderful community, the whole thing, when it comes together at the end of the day. So yeah.
To add on to the back of that, I have had stories of as well. When we are out on skirmishes and we have died and we're lying on the floor as an orc, there are some very kind Imperials out there who will come over to you and say, hey, get up, I'm dragging your body over here. And we have had players pile us up in the shade to get us out of the sun. So that's quite kind, and we do like that.
Yeah, it's just a decent thing to do at the end of the day. It's like, even when people fall down, you don't tread on them or you don't want to step over them. You will actively. I know I do it, and I'm always in the front line. And if there are people on the floor in front of me, I actively won't step forward. And you're giving them a little tap, and you let people move, because you see it happen too often where people won't do that, and they will just tread on everyone, and it just leads to a bit of a bad-tempered scrap at the end of the day. And that's not what you want. So, yeah, I think I'd rather people don't get hurt. So, yeah, that's really, really good. So, I want to touch on the rules, because they're a big part of the fight. There's a lot of calls. There's a lot of things that go on into this. I know there are a lot more questions in chat, and I do apologise. But I think with the amount of new people that are going to be, that hopefully will watch this, that are hopefully in chat, it means that any of the questions that they've got, we can deal with here. So, because I mentioned something before that I want to touch on as well about actually going into the fight. But how do you, I mean, you've got a massive team. So I think the first things first, let's touch on cheating for about 4 or 5 seconds, and then we'll leave it behind. Because at the end of the day, we talked about this beforehand, and my opinion on it is, if you see someone doing something you don't think is right, there's a ref next to you probably, or nearby. Go and tell them. Don't call anyone out, because otherwise you're just going to piss off a lot of people. And that. So, do you two want to add to that at all?
Don't cheat yourself. I think is if everybody did that, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Would be so.
Perfect. Kira?
I think you've both summed it up. There are refs in the game for a reason. Use them. Yeah,
very, very much so.
It's also, I think, just very quickly as well, it's also, do give people the benefit of the doubt. The Empire game mechanics mean that, if you think you're looking at Steve, the orc, who's fighting across from you, who's not fallen, you've hit him 10 times. There are plenty of ways for orcs, for players, to get lots and lots and lots of hits that sometimes, you don't necessarily know how strong they are. So, do take situations as well with, some concern and consideration there.
Yeah, because 10 times out of 10, if a ref sees something that's a bit untowards, they will always go over, they will always pull them up, and then it'll be dealt with there and then. I have seen so many players who are doing that. Well, I say so many players. This is throughout my entirety of playing Empire. So it's a lot of battles, it's a lot of fights where they're not taking their hits, and they should have gone down, and the ref's gone, right, you've been hit this many times, you're on this many hits. Okay, so by my reckoning, you should be on the floor about 20 feet that direction. So if you go and lie down over there, that'd be great. And they're just put like 8 feet behind the enemy lines, and they lie down and they start bleeding out. And that's literally was the way of it. Doesn't happen like that anymore, unfortunately. But it's, let the refs deal with it, because they know, they've been told by PD, this is what you do. So any questions about all of this stuff as well, PD have a wonderful email, admin@Profound Decisions. Okay, so give them a email as well to to clarify anything as well. So, yes. So, rules. This is the big thing. How do you then make sure that everyone who's going out, do you assume that everyone in Skirmish, everyone in Monsters, they already have a very basic and brief understanding of all the rules? Because I'd hope so.
See, I don't mind taking some of this one to start. So when people join our Skirmish crew, we like them to have experience, if not of Empire, at least of LARP itself. And part of our terms and conditions of joining are that you know the rules, learn the rules before you come to your first event. The Skirmish crew do go out on a Friday afternoon, same as a lot of the players do, and we do our own pre-event training. So that is, if people are a little bit rusty, particularly at E1, then we can just remind ourselves, remind each other of the rules. And again, it comes back to what I said earlier. It's about checking in with yourself and with your friends around you. If someone has misunderstood something or just forgotten something, it's just giving them a reminder in a very nice way. And the same as I said before, it goes both ways for the players and for the Skirmish crew. If people are blatantly cheating, then it's a ref that you get involved to help that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just scrolling through chat now just to make sure nothing's going on. Mandala Wookie. More explosives. I think that was for what's things to see. Yeah, that's a good one. people asking Wookiee for explosives. Oh dear. Ah. So yeah, there is a lot of stuff there. So something that we touched on beforehand was because I get a lot of people. Well, I've had a lot of people ask me about going through the gates and dealing with the anxiety of that. So would either of you have any advice for people? Because I've been a bit of an advocate for battlefield tourism. So going through just to see what it's like to walk through the gate, because even now I get goosebumps walking through the gate into a big fight, and it's a wonderful feeling. But I've always suggested, if you're going to go through, just walk through and then see what's going on, see how it all sets up, and then leave, basically, just so it's that first initial step.
Yeah. So I think probably the best advice I could give, that I think even before you get to that point that you've just described, Steve, is as a new player, if you've got any worries, any anxieties, you've no idea what going on a battle is going to be like. First thing, get yourself along to the new player skirmishes on the Friday afternoon. That's an opportunity to just have a bit of a LARP fight. There are lots of players who help out there. There's the referees who go along, and it's just an opportunity to see what it's like being in that swirling melee, people shouting and screaming around you. You're getting bopped with a LARP weapon. That's a great first thing. And they're not massive. There's maybe 100 people or so. The other thing after that I'd recommend is come and monster a battle. Come and join Kira, the skirmish team, and all the other player monsters. Then you don't have to actually be there as your character trying to role play through the experience as well. Yes, you're an orc. You can try and role play as that orc, but it's a great way to actually get there. You've got some anonymity. You don't have to worry about losing your character. Get in there, see what it's like in that fight, and if it's not for you, it's not for you. We'll more than happily, get you off the field. You can then dekit and you can go back to playing. Nice and simple. That I think is kind of that first experience. Is do try monstering a battle.
Yeah, monstering is great fun. So the actual banner I have on my Discord is me monstering very, very early in I can't remember what they're called. I was like in a big onesie with lots of claws, forearms, like tyrannies or something like that. I don't know. I can't remember. But that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun to do. But I know people who they've monstered before, and that's not an issue. It just seems to be, because I think when you're going through the gate, there's literally hundreds of people stood there, and they're all singing, cheering, and shouting for you and stuff like that. And I think that is the big step, and then they don't know what's beyond that. So I suppose really because the refs take all the numbers, don't they? They're counting how many people go through, aren't they?
Yeah, so that sort of happens at that stage, and then there's often a bit of smoke, and then it's 50 feet or so, and then you're onto the battlefield. And depending on how that battle starts, it could be a couple of minutes before you encounter orcs, or maybe you're straight into the fight.
Yeah. I'm so sad that it's going to be E2 for me, but I'm going to be doing the sensible thing, because where I wouldn't have fought properly for over a year. So whereas I always try to go to the new player skirmish every year or every event, because I enjoy having a scrap, but E2 this year I will actually be going to the new player skirmish, because it's going to have been a long time since I've had a proper scrap. So I'll have to let people know that I'm doing it, because I have turned up before and they've just looked at me and gone, seriously? And they're just like, go away. So so I will actually be doing that, because it's sensible to do. Learn all the calls again, learn what everything does, because I guess that's what they do in those new player skirmishes then, isn't it? They are very focused on, this is what Strike Down does, this is what Cleave does, this is what Repel does, all the magic calls as well, and everything. This is your bleed out. So that's wonderful. That's really, really cool. you forget why you love coming to Empire, really, don't you? Sometimes, and then you talk about it like this, and it's just like, oh, I fucking love this. Sorry, I digress. So one of the best questions that we've had that we normally get with all of these is, what is the most abiding memory that you have doing the role that you do? So, Kira.
So for me, I've quite enjoyed. So I've said a couple of times now. I joined in 2019. I was very, very new. Came into the skirmish team. And one of my favorite things is the skirmish team is like a big extended family. We all turn up. We're there to do a job, and we're all there to do that job together. And I think in terms of, it's difficult. I think I spoke a lot last time I was on your stream about some of the moments being on the battlefield and a skirmish or battle that have been my favourites. But I think for me, doing the role that I do now over the last year, to me, the actual favourites that I've seen is off the field, so it's something the players won't see.
Yeah.
And that is watching the skirmish team grow, and also adapt. As Tom said, we've had a lot of new things that we've tried. Some have worked, some haven't. But no matter what we've asked the skirmish team to try and do, they will do it with everything they've got.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because that's exactly what I was hoping for. Because I remember the last time you were giving specific stories in battle, and now as a boss, it's really good. That's awesome. I mean, skirmish crew are wonderful. I mean, I've done numerous chats with skirmish crew because the stories are so varied.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible, and people who will literally give up their entire weekend to come in, have a fight, walk off, come back in 20 minutes later, have another fight, walk off, 20 minutes later, have another fight. They are incredible people, all of them, every single one of them. I know I get quite a few over to, because I help run a bar in Wintermark. So any skirmish crew watching, it's not there at E1. So come over and sit by the fire and that, but there won't be any drinks for sale this time round. But they all come over like past midnight to come and sit down and have a beer and have a chill and have a chat and stuff, because we just drop out of character and it's just very chilled and relaxed. And they're all of them are more than welcome to come over to us. So it's back to what I say at the beginning of people who do this role, because you're all volunteers, don't get enough credit, don't get enough love, and skirmish crew should be at the top of the list, I think, for a lot of love given, because they come out of this battered and bruised every single season, and then they're back again. It's so wonderful people, absolutely wonderful people. I really should join skirmish crew, shouldn't I? At the end of the
Yeah.
Oh.
If anybody watching wants to join up, do get in contact with PD. We can send you the rules of joining, what we can expect and stuff, and
yeah. So is it through the admin email, the best one?
I believe it is crew at profounddecisions.co.uk.
Yeah, that's good. That was going to be something I was going to ask as well. So what about you, Tom? What's the best thing that's...
there are so many, I think, so many cool things I've seen. I don't want to go through, listing off hero stories. And I've always had a kind of big tradition with my group of friends of we only ever allowed one hero story an event. So I'm not gonna talk about all the cool things I've seen in doing the role I do, which I think is quite unique. I stand through military council when the generals kind of make the decisions for the fight. I know those 4 opportunities that we're presenting and what will potentially happen. And it's watching the drama that military council is generating of, how do we decide which battles are going on which days, who's going on what. That high politics is fascinating. You get the theatre of going through the Sentinel Gate when a battle starts is absolutely wonderful. But I also get this really interesting and kind of unique sort of point of view of the battles. You know, I am not on the player's side. I'm not on the monster's side. I am essentially watching from this point of neutrality, and I get to see the battle unfold. So I guess in some ways it's like watching a football match, or it's like having that kind of, you know, roving cam that sort of wandering around, fly on the wall, kind of docudrama kind of thing. So I get to see little moments in battles where, you know, you're just thinking, that player line there is about to prepare for a charge, but they've not seen some orcs around the flank. I get to watch sort of things unfold in a way that I don't think you experience either in character or out of character.
Yeah.
But also it's weird because I'm not in character for it either. So yeah, I'm not in the emotion and the kind of, you know, the heightened senses of it all. I'm sort of slightly detached and watching from a distance.
That's cool. That's really, really cool. I suppose it's a little bit like Total War in a way. You've set everything up and then you're just watching it all unfold.
Yeah, but if you were, I think yes, but if you were playing Total War, where you were setting up both sides and watching them, you know, I've set the battlefield up, I've set objectives, but they're for both sides. You know, I'm not giving my own troops those orders. So yeah, again, it's really interesting. It's a slightly different, kind of game. I guess I'm playing. You know, I often joke, you know, 8 times a year I get to watch, you know, like 1,500 people have a fight. I basically make 1,500 people in an event have 2 fights. It's fantastic fun.
Yeah, that's really cool. That is really, really cool. Carla's asked, are things like healing covered in the new player skirmish?
I think they probably are. I also believe there are kind of mage and healer kind of sessions as well for the new players that you can go along to. I think the hospital probably does something.
Yeah, I think they cover everything. There's a big timetable that gets put out, Carla, which literally lists the time and place to go for everything. So I think there's even ones on public speaking. I think I saw.
And
that's
I think as well, it's worth mentioning as well the different types of healing. You know, there are 3-4 different ways in which you can heal: through hero points, through magic, through potions, through actual, you know, medical role play as well. So each of those has different kind of uses. In particular, in battle, actually, you lean more on kind of those really rapid, you know, we just need to get somebody up off the floor so we can get them out of danger, rather than we're going to spend several minutes kind of suturing somebody's leg and putting them in a splint so we can walk them to the camp. So yeah, definitely try and get along to one of those.
Yeah, definitely. It's that's really cool. I did have another question, but I've completely forgotten it. It's literally, as soon as I went to say it, it just vanished from my mind. Oh, it wasn't so much a question. It was more of a, did you hear about you're talking about healing? I believe there is someone in the Brass Coast who sings sexual healing at someone as they dance around them.
Okay.
Yeah, very interesting to watch. Very unique way of healing someone. So I think the hospital does one, and I remember on my new player skirmish there was some bandaging going on by a new healer. Yeah, because I think the best thing that we can say that you two actively offer to everyone is the experience of having a full-on battle without the actual, well, touch wood. OC injuries do happen. It's a physical hobby. So you can get hurt. I was in Copenhagen for the Epic Armory. They released a new like clothing line, and they had a couple of Vikings who work in the reenactment and all of this sort of stuff, but they use LARP weaponry to do it all. And they came up. They have a very interesting way of dealing with these things to sort of try to negate OC injury. And the way that they put it was, your safety is in my hands. Basically, if you're not going to get hurt if I'm being safe. So there was I think it's a really good way of putting it across to people as well. So, because you always see people who don't, I keep on saying always, I've got to stop saying that. You do see people who don't pull blows, and you don't know what their weapon's like. So I used to fight with a hammer that was so squashy. I could hit someone as hard as I wanted with it, and it would be like a soft blow from a feathery pillow. It was lovely to hit people with it because they seem to enjoy it a little bit. So there's a lot of stuff like that goes on. So I think being in your positions where you are actually able to give a full-on battle for people as well, that experience must make you quite, well, chuffed, really, I think, to know that you're giving, 3,000 people, 12,000 people a year. Wow, 3,000 people 4 times a year. You know what I mean. And that, so that must make it.
Certainly, it adds another big thing to the Empire game, and I think you mentioned earlier as well. It's not just the people who come onto the battlefield that get impacted by it. It's all the people doing the hospital after a battle, priests and ritualists blessing kind of people before they go through the Sentinel Gate. Battles have a massive impact on the game and the game world beyond obviously the actual fight as well. So there's lots that any player can contribute to, and potentially any player can be impacted by the outcome of a battle as well.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Ben. Thanks for that quote. So my character, who's now deceased, fought with a hammer and absolutely it was when I got it made, it was Mjolnir as if it was made by a child. So it was literally just a big rock with a stick put through it. It was great. It was the best thing ever. And Ben's just put in a quote from Thor Ragnarok. Sounds like you had a pretty special and intimate relationship with this hammer, and that losing it was almost comparable to losing a loved one. So yeah, he's not wrong. So when people come out of battles and that, do you get feedback at all from from the players at all?
Yeah, I guess we can see the forums, the Discord servers, the Facebook groups that everybody else sees. So yeah, I guess we get that kind of passive feedback. Obviously, players, will kind of respond to PD as well, sort of through the kind of main channels there. So yeah, we get feedback that way. Obviously, speaking with the referees, we're speaking with the members of the skirmish team. Yeah. There will be players as well we might speak to as well, sort of kind of not in the field, but kind of during the course of an event, where we get that kind of feedback. So yeah, I guess it comes to us lots of ways, and I guess Kira, the skirmish team, they're there kind of experiencing it as well. So we're generating feedback ourselves.
Yeah. So is there a preferred way, would you say, then, to receive feedback? Because I mean, what you say, seeing it on like Facebook, Discord, forums, and stuff like that. Keyboard warriors and the internet are horrible people at the end of the day, and I think is there a way that you prefer? Like, would you rather they emailed in to give good, or bad?
So yeah, PD wants that feedback, I think, coming in, but also there is a lot of stuff that we all see online that is incredibly positive. It's really it's people frothing with excitement, going, "Oh my goodness, that was the most amazing battle ever!" And people shouting about all the cool stuff they've done. Seeing that that's brilliant, because that means what Kira's doing in character with the skirmish team, what I'm writing, what our refs are supporting in terms of maybe helping players cast rituals, or that means everything's working. And sure, there will always be people who have negative experiences on a battle. Most of the time we're aware of those things as well. If we had a problem at one area of the battlefield where maybe we had an injury or something, or we had kind of the fight got bogged down for out of character reasons, we're probably aware of that. And that's why those PD channels exist, to get that feedback in. But generally, the froth and the excitement is also really useful.
Yeah, definitely. How about for yourself, Kira? Because I think obviously where Tom does the writing and he's doing it from a more of a distant point of view, you're literally command on the battlefield, watching everything as it's happening and unfolding, and that. So I suppose
Yeah, so
feedback's different for you in that sort of way, isn't it? I guess.
yeah, so as Tom said, if people want anything to be recorded officially, email is always the way to go.
Yeah.
I really enjoy, and I know a lot of the skirmish team enjoy. We typically go out into Anvil as R&R characters in the evening, and on a Saturday evening, and on a Friday evening after skirmishes, Saturday after battles and skirmishes. One of the things we quite like is going out as an R&R character and hearing the stories going around Anvil live. So it's not necessarily feedback meaning to be feedback, but it's something that we quite enjoy
Yeah.
hearing the players recount these stories that we are helping them tell. And as Tom said, Discord, Facebook, I think a lot of the skirmish team are on a lot of the spaces, and hearing players discuss, debate, froth over things that they've seen, things that they've done, things that they've seen the skirmish team do.
Yeah.
It is nice to have that sort of live feedback. And we do try and, if one of us sees it, we do try and share that feedback with the rest of the team as well. So we do try and, if we see someone saying something really good on Facebook or on Discord, we do try and share that with the rest of the team.
Yeah. That's really good because I mean, I keep on saying it. People don't get enough credit. The people behind the scenes and everything. That's something I really want to remedy, I guess, doing this. And with
Yeah,
the
I
help.
think.
Sorry.
I was going to say, the only thing I would add onto the back of that is the worst time to give us feedback, particularly as on-field members of the skirmish crew, is as you're coming off the battlefield. Everyone is hot, everyone is tired. What you've just told us will be forgotten.
Yeah.
We are only people, we are only humans. So if you want us to take something and note it down, put it in writing and send it to us.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, there are so many great things that happen in a fight. There are so many great things that happen in battles that everybody wants to talk about it. Everybody is the hero in their own story at the end of the day. So they go and they do wonderful things, and then they come off and they want to talk about it to everybody. And I love watching the great little interactions that you get with, so a member of skirmish crew and just another player who's just done something and they've had a great moment. Some of my favourite moments in the battles is the banter, the abuse that both lines will hurl at each other, the threatening to turn someone into a handbag, the things like that. It's wonderful. It's absolutely amazing. The marriage proposals that you get as well, they are some of my favourites. Absolute favourites, those are. So they are great. And I think a lot of respect needs to go to people who's Monster for getting involved and getting into the spirit of it all. Because I think if they didn't do it, it would feel very one-sided. It's like, well, I'm just here to fight. I'm not here to interact. I think, yeah, no, but you name your orc. You go in, you have a little made-up connection with the people around you. And then you go off and you have a fight and you watch your new friend die over there. Yes, you react to that because that then impacts all of that line of players over there. If you scream that orc's name and go charging off in that direction, it's great fun. It's hilarious to watch as well. I have been that orc. It's been amazing. It's so much fun that you get out of it as well. And yeah, I can't speak highly enough. I really, really can't. I don't know if chat can tell that I really like talking about this stuff. But yeah, I mean, Aaron 25. That's a good one. This has been a lot of fun. I am going to call it there. I am slowly feeling my distinct lack of energy catching up on me at the moment. So I'm going to sleep so well tonight. So unless that we can go for one more question from chat. So any question from chat, the next one we'll go through and then we'll call it, I think. If anyone's still watching. Well, it says there are people watching. People have now got to think of a question because there's a 5-second delay between what we say here and then it goes up to the stream. So
I guess whilst we're waiting then, I think important things that I guess Kira and I want people to know about.
Yes.
Monstering, getting ready. happens Saturday and Sunday mornings between 9:30 and 10:30. Please don't come to Monster after 10:30. We need you there before 10:30. Players, I think generally that all happens in character between 10 and 11. And importantly, the battle starts at 11 a.m. That's when the Sentinel Gate essentially opens, and players can go through. So that's the time that everything kicks off. So
Yeah.
make sure you're there.
Yeah.
I think the one from me that I would say, we've said it before and it becomes a little bit of a joke, but I want to compliment the Military Council on making some swift decisions this year.
It's taken less than 4 hours. Yeah. I love and I have a love-hate relationship with Military Council. Love going to it sometimes, but only when I know I've got something to say. And I hate going to it as well because it's a 5-hour meeting. It's just ridiculous.
No, we keep it. It's kept to 2 hours now.
Is it kept to 2 hours now? Oh, that changed. But I haven't been.
Yeah.
I think I went at E2 when I had a fight.
They have longer meetings throughout the rest of the weekend, but
yeah,
the important one is under 2 hours now.
Oh, that's good. Oh, I might start going back to it then. No.
Looks like we do have a question, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I've actually got another. I've got a question from myself as well. Okay, this is a quick one. Do you both prefer battles or skirmishes?
Battles.
I think I actually prefer skirmishes. And this goes back to it purely goes back to what was said earlier about space. The skirmish crew can do so much more when we are 80 people in the entirety of the woods than we can with 700 people on that field. And I also like the variety. So in a 2-hour gap, we can do 4 to 6 different things. Whereas, where I said earlier, I do like battles and I like them to go on for an hour at least. Sometimes it does get a little bit tiring when not a lot is moving. It's the same thing. You're going in and out, back and forth, left to right. So yeah, I prefer skirmishes, I think.
Okay, that's cool. Ben has asked, what is your favourite weapon to fight with, or weapon combo to fight with?
I'll take that one then.
Or both?
I have always, particularly at Empire, always favoured the ambi loadout. So I would typically be seen with 2 axes or an axe and sword.
Nice. Same here. Tom?
Yeah. So I have not played in Empire for a very long time. When I was playing, shield and axe. When I was in the Imperial Orcs, was my favourite. Other LARPs, I think I tend to favour polearm. But if I was playing again, I think I'd probably go maybe combat mage. So maybe buckler and rod or something. Mix it up, something new.
That's interesting. Yeah. So I know someone emailed in to ask if they were able to fight with a one-handed spear and a shield, and the reply was, reply was, why would you want to?
An amazing combination.
That's what I thought. That's what.
Do that in another game. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Brilliant. So I'm considering changing some skills around and learning that one. So I think we'll finish. I've got a question because it's something that's just occurred to me. What is the biggest bugbear that players do as someone as more of a member of crew, rather than people fight like that or things like that? But what is that you wish players didn't do to make things a little bit easier for yourselves?
What I wish would be players and monsters, if everybody could bring at least half a litre of water with them onto a battlefield. That would be my thing.
There we go. Someone click that for me.
I don't know. probably goes back to what Tom mentioned a couple of minutes ago, and that is arriving at battle prep at 3 minutes to 11, wanting to get a full set of orc armor on before the battle goes live.
No, don't do that.
No, definitely don't do that. It is quite funny though, I have to admit, where I think at E4 where I was non-combatant, and I was sat there watching, and then it's like 10 to 11, and then you see 30 people sprinting from one side of Wintermark all the way across past the toilets, and you're watching them head up in that direction, thinking,
disappointment.
Yeah, you are the last people on that field. You are the last. Yeah. So, timekeeping, hydration. That's the best thing to do, and keep everyone's safety in mind. I think that's mine. So, thank you both for coming on. It has been absolutely wonderful to chat to you both. And Tom, it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you finally. And that's
good to be here. Yeah.
So, chat, I hope you have enjoyed all of this. Thank you for the stream. It was very interesting. Thought there was going to be don't be too hungover to monster. Yeah, that one is that as well. Please don't turn up to fight drunk. And yeah, definitely, if you are hanging out your ass, well, probably don't monster. Well, probably don't even turn up to a fight because it's still in your system. Yeah, don't be a dick. I think that's the best thing to take from it. Don't be a dick. That's my take from it all. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. And if Claire's watching, thank you so much for sorting all these out for me. It's been wonderful to get all these behind the scenes done to find out everything that goes on. And it's been really, really good. I'm not raiding tonight because I never get it done properly, and I can't be bothered, to be honest, this evening. I'm quite tired. I can't read that name. Thanks, guys. I enjoyed my lurking. You're more than welcome to lurk. Mnesilocus. Yeah, probably said it wrong, but still. So thank you everyone for watching. Look after yourselves. We'll see you all on Monday for a new player stream. Might just be me, might be with people on it. Who knows? Don't know yet.
See you all in the field, I guess, in only a couple of months' time, isn't it? So.
Oh my god, yeah. So what February?
Yeah. I believe
April.
it's 84-ish days.
84 days.
Yeah.
I might need to get my kit sorted. You know.
It's somewhere in the region.
84 days. So yes, we'll see you all in that little